Welcome to this webinar today on Slovak perspectives on 100% renewable heating and cooling transformation. My name is Andrej Mišek. I'm a project manager at the Association of European Renewable Energy Research Centers, EUREC for short, and I will be the moderator of today's webinar. Speaking about the agenda for today, I will just very quickly introduce the Renewable Heating and Cooling platform, which is organizing today's webinar, and then we will delve into expert insights into key technologies driving Slovakia's transition towards renewable heating and cooling. We'll have a general overview from a speaker, an expert from International Energy Agency on the energy policy of Slovak Republic. Then we will hear about heat pump market in Slovakia. Then we will have two speakers speaking specifically about district heating networks in Slovakia, with one of them giving a specific example of a city of Partizanske in Slovakia and how they are trying to transform their district heating into a clean and renewable form. And we will also hear from the NGO sector with the speakers on speaking about supporting sustainable heating in Slovakia as such. And hopefully there will be enough time for some questions and answers. So that's the plan for today's webinar. The webinar is being recorded and the recording will be shared on YouTube later. Also, all the presentations that you will see today will be shared on the Renewable Heating and Cooling platform after the event. If you have any questions, you can use the Q&A function of the webinar. By clicking on it, you can post the question and we will try to answer it in the discussion afterwards. So quickly about the platform, which is organizing today's webinar. The Renewable Heating and Cooling European Technology and Innovation Platform represents research and industry of heating and cooling technologies in Europe. There are 5 technology panels in the platform. So the platform represents solar, thermal, biomass, geothermal, heat pumps, district heating and cooling, and thermal storage sectors. And there are also 5 horizontal groups which work across all these technologies. And these focus on achieving 100% renewable energy buildings, districts, cities, and industries. And recently, we also added one on social sciences and humanities to more focus on the societal benefit of RHC technologies and also challenges which these create for society. The platform has been funded in 2008 and recognized as European Technology Innovation Platform by European Commission in 2016. These platforms have been created by European Commission in the framework of the Strategic Energy Technology Plan by bringing together a multitude of stakeholders and experts from the energy sector to formulate priorities for their sector and also to align national funding for these technologies with that funding of the European Union level. The key objectives of RHC platform specifically are to formulate common strategy for increasing the use of renewable heating and cooling technologies, showcase that renewable energy technologies for heating and cooling are safe, clean, efficient, and increasingly cost competitive, with great societal benefit from the increasing contribution of these technologies at the EU level. And also showcase that combining improved and new technologies, innovation and development, as well as policy funding and pilot projects, which are ongoing in the sectors. The goals are to develop working relationships with other relevant national and regional platforms, establish and update strategic research and innovation agendas per technology area, from basic research to market uptake, but basically identifying priorities in the short, medium, and long term for these different technologies. Also identify priorities of cross-cutting nature, such as education, training, socio-economic aspects, and international cooperation. Identify innovation barriers, notably those related to regulation and financing, and also report on the implementation of R&I activities at the European and national and industrial levels. The platform is trying to, apart from what I presented, what it is doing, is also trying to provide some added value to the stakeholders, of course. So one of such services, if I may say so, we host a project database for renewable heating and cooling projects on our platform's website. The objective is to track past and ongoing projects in the area of renewable heating and cooling. The focus is mostly on those funded at EU level, but there are also some national funded projects. And we plan in the short future to involve these projects to present their results and their impact. Another currently developed or in development service to our members is RHC Accelerator on our platform. It's not fully an accelerator, but it's trying to make project development and uptake easier for these project developers. It aims to bridge the gap between research projects and market-ready solutions. So we have a database of research projects, as I mentioned, and we also have a database of experts who can provide assistance on they work in investment, so they can help with funding market uptake of these projects, and they can support project developers. And there is also a database of funding schemes at EU and national levels. So this might also be relevant and helpful to stakeholders to have a look at if they're looking for funding for their projects. The database is quite exhaustive, so definitely a useful tool, if I may say so, for project developers. By scanning the QR code, you can go directly to the sub page of the website. The Secretariat supporting the platform consists of 6 partners. So as I mentioned, the EUREC is coordinating, but there are also other industry associations representing different technologies. So there's the European Geothermal Energy Council, Solar Heat Europe, Euroheat and Power, representing the district heating and cooling sector, European Heat Pump Association, and a consultancy company from Germany, WIP Renewable Energies, representing the biomass sector. This was a brief overview of the platform. Now we can go finally to the interesting part of the webinar. So we have 5 speakers today. I will present one after another when they're about to speak. So we will start with Martina Lyons from International Energy Agency. Martina is a Slovak national. She joined the IEA's Renewable Energy Division in late 2023 as an energy analyst focusing on decarbonization of industrial processes and related topics. Before IEA, she worked nearly 5 years at IRENA, the International Renewable Energy Alliance or Association, I'm not sure, as a program officer working on the end use sector, decarbonization, critical materials, and engagement with mission innovation. And she also worked at European Commission as policy officer for several years before that. So before further ado, I would give floor to Martina to share her screen, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Let me load the screen. Yes, so many thanks for the introduction and for the opportunity to share the IEA's insights with you today. Just a quick introduction to Slovakia at IEA. So Slovakia became a full member of IEA in November 2027. And for each member country, the IEA conducts in-depth energy policy reviews on a regular 5-year cycle. And the most recent one took place in 2024. And today I will share with you a couple of the insights from that review. So what did the IEA saw in its latest cycle of the energy policy review. So we have seen Slovakia making progress in energy and climate policy, notably the adoption of low carbon development strategy until 2030 with a view to 2050, and the preparation of the draft National Act on Climate Change, which aims to enshrine a net zero climate target by 2050 into the law, and also mandates the development of sector-specific climate plans, which would guide emission reductions across various industries and government sector. But as early as as of early 2025, this proposed climate law has not yet been enacted. The IEA has commended Slovakia for preparing this legislation, but has encouraged the government to expedite its finalization and implementation also of those associated sectoral plans. While in the meantime, Slovakia at least has reaffirmed its commitment to achieving climate neutrality by 2050 in its updated national energy and climate plans. Without climate law in place, this target remains a policy goal rather than a legally binding obligation able to move things forward. So why is that important? Natural gas is a key part of Slovakia's energy mix, making up around 23% of its total energy supply and 8% of its electricity generation. It plays a major role in end-use sectors, covering 41% of energy, which is used for heating and cooling in buildings, and 28% of industrial energy consumption, heating, steam, and feedstock. Slovakia's reliance on imported natural gas creates energy security vulnerabilities. Therefore, diversifying gas supply sources is essential to ensure that country has a stable and resilient energy system. And this can be done with increased use of renewables, whether it's solar thermal, bioenergy, geothermal, electrification, or even use of nuclear for district heating. Setting clear targets to reduce this gas consumption should be also a priority in the country's overall energy strategy. Slovakia is a quiet leader when it comes to clean energy. Over 80% of its power comes from low carbon sources. Nuclear energy is a backbone of Slovakia's electricity mix, generated around 60% of its country's electricity. The government is doubling down on nuclear, recognizing its critical role in delivering reliable low carbon power. But at the same time, also renewables are gaining slowly ground. Hydropower has been leading the way for years, but Slovakia's solar energy sector has seen some surge, actually remarkable surge. It added around 220 megawatt of new capacity in 2023, which came from residential and commercial rooftop systems, which in 2022 was around 60 megawatt, and this growth continued in 2024 with 274 megawatt added, and the projection for this year are even higher, around 300 megawatt. A big part of the boom comes from the Slovak Innovation and Energy Agency's rebate program, which offers subsidies, but this may end in 2026. It also helped to have simplified permitting processes, and due to high electricity prices, it also have permitted some businesses and consumers to invest in solar for cost savings. On the wind front, the government has set ambitious goals to reach 500 megawatt by 2030, but the progress remains very slow. Key obstacles include high grid connection costs, which deter investments, also complex permitting processes and land use regulation that continue to block not just wind, but also solar utility energy development. So the nuclear and renewables are replacing coal, but not yet the gas. And why is that? Is because one of the barriers in replacing gas are high electricity prices, which has increased significantly since the energy crisis, being way above the average of the EU electricity prices. And to encourage replacement or displacement of natural gas with electricity, this is severely constrained by high electricity to gas ratio, which stood right now around 3:1 in both sectors in 2024, or both groups, households and non-household industry. And this is actually quite a major decrease from 5:1 for industry and 4:1 for households. During its review, the IEA found that Slovakia's current carbon taxation doesn't reflect the actual carbon content of fuels, meaning fossil fuels aren't priced in a way that encourages clearer choices or cleaner choices. And this is not yet specific to Slovakia, though. If we want people and businesses to shift to lower emissions, more efficient options, then tax and fiscal policies needs to send much clearer and better signal. Therefore, a well-designed carbon tax, which reflects emissions, can support renewables, can support innovation, efficiencies, and help to phase out fossil fuels. And I'm saying that because government actually committed to a fiscally neutral green tax reform, and the IEA encouraged it to move forward with this pledge. However, exceptionally high energy prices in 2022 and 2023 made this much harder. In response for the time period, Slovakia broadened the definition of vulnerable consumers to include nearly all households, small businesses, and part of the public sector in order to decrease the prices. But these artificially low retail prices may seem helpful, but they actually discourage energy efficiency and contradict the government's stated goals. When it comes to the building sector, it makes up 39% of total final energy consumption. This is pretty much more than any other sector. Energy consumption from space heating make up 26% of this total final energy consumption. Over 40% of the demand in residential building was supplied by natural gas. This was followed by electricity, bioenergy, and district heating. When it comes to commercial and services buildings that are less carbon intensive, they rely mainly on electricity, followed by gas and district heating. I don't want to speak too much about district heating because we have two other speakers talking about it, but it is indeed a widespread supplier of residential and commercial heating in the country. When it comes to the industry sector, decarbonizing is equally important for the energy transition and is for the building sector. The good news is that the Slovakia's energy sector has already made some progress, with energy consumption and intensity steadily declining over the past 2 decades, but there is still untapped potential. The IEA, in its review, encouraged the government to take a fresh look at all current policies, especially those aimed at decarbonization and renewables, through the lens of energy efficiency and the electrification. Slovakia has undergone a period of deindustrialization, which reshaped the structure of its economy, and also contributed to a reduction of the energy consumption. But despite this shift, industry remains still a big energy consumer, with electricity holding its place as a dominant energy source, but natural gas still plays a key role. But we noticed that the story lies also elsewhere. Biofuels and waste have been the fastest growing energy source in industry, pointing that there is some gradual diversification and a move toward cleaner alternatives. And on one of the latest slide, it's just a slide which is providing a quick snapshot into a few industries and their energy uses. Majority is the electricity use, followed by the natural gas, biofuels, and waste is dominant in cement and paper and pulp industries. And in my last slide, I would like to close with saying something which goes beyond technologies and policies and which focuses on people. The energy sector is already feeling the strain of a tightening labor market in Slovakia, and this growing the shortage of skilled workers is growing. The government has launched initiatives to tackle these gaps, but what is needed is a more systematic approach, particularly to reskill existing workers, train young people, and attract skilled talent. Investing in people today is pretty essential to deliver any energy system of tomorrow. These slides offer just a snapshot of Slovakia's in-depth energy report from the IEA, which highlights some strengths, some challenges and opportunities. Well, thank you, and I look forward to other presentations and to the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martina. This is definitely a very useful overview of the energy sectors in Slovakia and the situation. Now we would go with the second presentation, looking more specifically on the heat pump market in Slovakia. It will be given by Duncan Gibb, who advises on technologies, policies, and data needed to switch to clean heating. He works at a regulatory assistance project, and he leads their European work on the economics of heat pumps and has published papers on economics and policy, the Renewable Energy Directive, and cold climate heat pumps. He joined RAP's Europe team in 2022 with more than 10 years experience in energy research and policy analysis. So I give floor to you, Duncan. Looking forward to your presentation. Cannot hear you yet. Nope, still nothing.
Let me try this.
Yes, now it works.
Okay. Oh, wait, maybe that's it. Does it still work? Okay. You should hear me now?
No, we hear you, but you have to share again the screen.
Yeah, sorry about that. All right, so thank you very much for the introduction. Yeah, I'm Duncan Gibb, and I keep meaning to shorten the introduction I send to people for webinars and keep forgetting. So thanks for your patience in the description of my background. So I work for RAP, the Regulatory Assistance Project. We are a clean energy think tank NGO that works on pushing some innovative policies and ideas for decarbonizing the energy sector. We work on all types of fields, from electricity markets and regulation to electric transport to clean heating, which is my main focus, clean heating and efficiency. So what I'd like to talk to you about today is the heating sector, and Martina did a really great first presentation that leads nicely into mine, I think, because I'll focus really mainly on the heating side of things. So let's jump into that. Right, so Martina talked about this already a little bit, but just to remind you that the Slovak heating sector in residential buildings for space heating and hot water is still heavily dependent on fossil fuels, especially fossil gas and natural gas. We see a slightly increasing role for heat pumps over the past few years in terms of share of final energy in space heating and hot water, but it's starting from a small base, and I mean a bulk of it is still taken up by district heating and by bioenergy as well. So we will have some presentations on district heating today too, which I'm very much looking forward to. We've also seen the share of fossil gas increasing slightly in the last few years. You can see here our data, the data we took from Eurostat with some of our own calculations around ambient heat, which I won't get into today, show that the amount of energy used for space heating and hot water in Slovakia actually decreasing, which is quite interesting, notably the amount of bioenergy and district heating being used for that. I don't have any specific insights to why that is, but I wanted to share that today. And you see the amount of heat pumps the amount of energy from heat pumps gradually increasing from around 3% in 2021 to 6% in 2023, which is the latest data that we have. Right, so now let's talk more about heat pumps, because this is a lot of what I work on. We have seen a big boom in the heat pump market in Slovakia during 2022. Many of people listening to this, I'm sure, know the reasons why: the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the spike in energy prices, and a big turn across Europe towards heating with heat pumps. This is the case in many, many European countries, where we saw a big increase in the market in 2022. In the case of Slovakia, it grew by about 2.5 times, and then it started to fall back in 2023 first. We don't have the Slovak data for 2024, but we can say that across Europe, it has fallen quite significantly. So this is some of the European Heat Pump Association's data for 2024 market, and you can see that pretty much all the major markets saw a steep decline in heat pump sales in the last year. Only the United Kingdom was the one that really saw a growth, and it's a country where the heat pump market has largely been stagnant, at least for air-to-water heat pumps in the last few years. So in countries such as Germany and Italy, and even countries like Poland, which had been leading Europe in heat pump market growth, we've seen a big decline. So this is sort of the context for what I'll talk about today. Now, we about a year and a half ago published a study on the heat pump policy framework in Slovakia. This was based on a toolkit that we've published 2 versions of in a consortium we have with Agora Energiewende, CLASP, and the Global Buildings Performance Network, where we're looking at a policy toolkit for global mass heat pump deployment. What we tried to do in this document is say, okay, it's not just enough to have a subsidy, or it's not just enough to lower taxes on electricity or regulate your building sector. You really need a comprehensive approach to heating decarbonization that will help heat pumps and other technologies like heat pumps, such as solar thermal, grow in this context. It's not just enough to have one sort of policy lever, you need many. And one big part of this is skills, as already mentioned at the end of her presentation by Martina, which was a really, really great point, that in many European countries are missing this point, or at least haven't fully adapted to its reality yet. And Slovakia is definitely not alone in that case. So when we're looking at this toolkit, what we tried to do is we've tried to build the idea of a comprehensive policy framework on 3 pillars. One of them is financial support, so that can be your classic grant or a subsidy that supports a newer, more expensive technology, loans that help support it as well. Another is the first pillar you see here on the left, which is also mentioned by Martina, carbon pricing. This is a way to make sure that cleaner fuels more polluting fuels are paying for the externalities they impose in terms of pollution and in terms of emissions. So that's something. We also want to talk about taxes and levies on energy, which is a point that I'll bring up in a few minutes here on the economics of heat pumps in Slovakia. And then the third is to regulate the sector well. That means having good building codes. That means having compliance standards. And that's a lot of stuff that's being done on the EU level with directives such as the European Performance in Buildings Directive, but also needs to be reflected at member state level as well, and also within local governments in terms of planning and zoning areas to make sure that heat planning is taking place, which is now a requirement on the Energy Efficiency Directive. This all rests on a pillar of coordination and communication, which also it takes into account the idea of skills development, but much also really is focusing on communicating with the public and making sure they understand what new clean heating technologies are and what their advantages are, how to get them installed and things like that, how to access the proper support for them. So this is our background work to this paper, which we published. And I want to talk about a few of the recommendations, of course. So one big thing in the Slovak context, not only, but especially, is to make sure that upfront subsidies are going to those who need it most. So you can have types of flat rate grant programs, such as the boiler upgrade scheme in the UK. These might be simple to administer because in the case of the UK, they give £7,500 to anybody who's replacing a gas boiler with a heat pump. But in countries like France, they have household revenue tiered plans, which take into account your household income and make sure that more money is going towards those who need it more. So these can be more complicated to administer, but they make sure that the funding is being spent in a more societally useful way. Next, we can also make sure that some of these funds that are provided for the program actually are earmarked for low-income households. That can ensure that they are receiving an adequate amount. And the final point on the subsidies is to make sure in cases, especially with low-income households, that there are point-of-sale subsidies or point-of-sale rebates, meaning that you receive this payment up front, that you don't have to pay full price and then go through a bunch of paperwork to get paid for the subsidy after that. An example of this, which is now rather defunct, is the US Inflation Reduction Act, which provides point-of-sale rebates. So the price is already reduced when you're buying a heat pump, for instance. And on top of all of this, very important to make in the Slovak context is that policy stability and reliability is key. It's really important. When talking to stakeholders for this study we did, they noted there was an 8-month pause in funding for heat pumps in Slovakia as the government was negotiating the next package and was not able to confirm this funding. And it really caused a big crisis of household consumer confidence in the market and also industry confidence in their ability to invest and see a future for heat pumps in Slovakia. So subsidies are one thing, energy prices is another. We see across Europe still, this data is a little bit out of date because I haven't had a chance to update the map, but it's not changed too much in the last few years. And what we're looking at here is a ratio of electricity to gas prices across Europe. What we really want to see is a place where they're dark blue in countries such as Spain and Portugal and Sweden, where we have a price of electricity per kilowatt hour that is much closer to the price of gas. In countries like Slovakia, we're seeing a ratio of 3 to 4. The UK is even higher, where this is very problematic for households looking to invest in a heat pump, where if you think of the performance of a heat pump being with a coefficient of performance of around 3, you would need a price ratio of 3 for it to be equally affordable to a gas boiler. So we tend to say that a price ratio of 2 or less than 2 will always make sure that heat pumps are an economic winner. So in the Slovak context, we see a couple of important things. One is that, and this is more up-to-date data, it didn't actually label it on the chart, but this is from 2024. 2021 to 2024. We see the changes in prices in Slovakia for electricity and for fossil gas. And we can see that the taxes and levies that are placed on electricity still make up a significant proportion of the price. In the case of gas, they are non-existent. There's VAT on gas, but there's no additional charges that are used by the government to recoup revenues. So one thing we looked at in this paper, a big message from our paper, is the need to shift these taxes and levies away from electricity and onto gas. Now I'll show you a bit of this analysis to finish my presentation. So we looked at current levy situation, which was in 2023, because this is when we were writing the paper, of an air-to-water heat pump versus a gas boiler. And you can see that the levies placed in 2023, the levies placed on a heat pump accounted for, over the lifetime of the heat pump, around 6,800 euros. On a gas boiler, over the 18-year lifespan of the gas boiler, around 3,000. So if you're looking at that in 2023, the levies on electricity per megawatt hour were 7.5 times higher than those on gas. And this is obviously a very perverse incentive. You don't want to be placing more government taxation on a cleaner fuel, a fuel that you want to be using to decarbonize your heating, to lower pollution. This is not ideal, yet it still is the case in Slovakia and many other European countries. Now, what we looked at is what would happen if we shifted some of this tax burden. So by shifting it from electricity to gas, just only half of the tax burden, then all of a sudden heat pumps become the more affordable option over the lifetime. They're slightly still more expensive than a gas boiler, but if you shift half of these levies from the air-to-water heat pump to the gas boiler, your levy component for the heat pump drops to 3,400 euros, and for the gas boiler rises to 6,400. So by making a simple administrative change, you can really rebalance the economic equation for heat pumps in Slovakia. So that's for us a big policy recommendation, which brings me to the slide on policy recommendations. One is to communicate with the public. I mentioned this already. It's really important that people understand the renewable heating technology options. And I'm not only talking about heat pumps, but I'm also talking about solar thermal for hot water, district heating, and it's really key that households understand these technology options. They understand the support that's available for them and how to access them, and they build up a trust in the technology, because we still hear a lot of myths around these heat pumps and other technologies that are simply not true and are pervasive in society and undermine the confidence in the technology. Another one, as just talked about in the slide previous, is to rebalance electricity and gas prices. This is very key to make sure that if you are spending a bit more money to invest in a heat pump, which is likely the case because of the upfront cost, you are able to recover that investment in a short period of time. Also, we want to make sure that policy support for heat pumps is stabilized. So this 8-month gap in funding has been problematic for the public perception of support for heat pumps, and it's likely that the support needs to be increased as well based on the market in Slovakia. Finally, consider some regulation on the sector, which would be restricting gas boilers in new buildings, which would largely be in line with the Energy Performance in Buildings Directive, or consider something like a clean heat standard, which would gradually mandate the sale of heat pumps from heating companies, or not just heat pumps, but any clean heating technology, to gradually phase out the sale of gas boilers for new and existing buildings. So these are 4 of the recommendations I wanted to highlight today in the context of building up a heat pump market in Slovakia. And I'm happy to stay around for the panel discussion, and hope that was interesting to everybody. And thanks again to Andre for the invitation.
Thank you very much, Duncan. Definitely super useful that you included the policy recommendations, and for me personally, the shift for levies point was particularly quite interesting, and yeah, something to think about, hopefully. For the next presentation, conscious of time, we would now go to more practical deployment, I would say, of technologies in Slovakia. We have Mr. Martin Janac, who will give a presentation on the transformation of district heating systems in Slovakia. Martin Janac has been in the past working mostly for various international companies in the energy sector or their operations in Slovakia. The main focus was on district heating networks, which obviously have a long tradition in Slovakia, but needs to be transformed into a modern and environmentally friendly solution. During his career, he has been involved in several important projects of transformation of district heating network systems, from construction of an innovative energy center in Rimavská Sobota using combined heat and power, biomass and photovoltaics, or a unique project of installation of 18 combined heat and power units in the largest housing estate in Central Europe, which is Bratislava's Petržalka. So, Martin, I give floor to you.
So the Europe, you can see now the map of Europe with red dots showing the district heating systems in Europe. You can see that the most dense part are in Eastern Europe, when we have the heritage of the past regime, when in socialist period the district heating networks were built. And this is the technology where we can build on. and transform it to new modern technology as it is done in Western Europe. For example, the share of district heating in Slovakia represent roughly 40 to 50% of heating needs of households. So it's a relatively high share, similar to Nordic countries or also Baltic states. So concerning the market in Slovakia, we have nearly in every city the district heating network, which supplies heat to nearly 1.8 million inhabitants. The market is quite fragmented with 350 licensed companies. And the heating supplies are decreasing. For example, in last 10 years, there was a decrease of more than 25%, mainly due to energy efficiency measures of the consumers, but also of the heat suppliers. As it was stated in the previous presentation, the major fuel in Slovakia is natural gas with a share of more than 50%. This is due to the fact that Slovakia was the major transit country of natural gas to Western Europe. Then for renewable energy sources, the main part is biomass with a share of nearly 23%. And concerning the price regulation, the prices in Slovakia are strictly regulated by the regulators, and on the market there are several international players like Veolia, Engis, or Stefe, which is an Austrian company, but also a state-owned company which is now called Teplárenský Holding, where I worked, which regroups the district heating cities in major networks in major cities. This is probably a very well-known picture of different generations of district heating, where we go from first generation to fourth generation district heating. They are characterized, the transformation is characterized by the adding of different new sources, mainly based on renewables, but also on increasing energy efficiency of the production and supply, and decreasing temperature of flow and return network. How we see the future of district heating networks, we have to first change the image of district heating networks from the previous regime to modern sustainable solution. Which will be done by the development of renewable sources, which are mainly based on biomass, geothermal energy, and waste heat from industrial production. One of the part will be also the integration of waste to energy plants into district heating networks. We are already in our two biggest installations. We are already using this waste heat from these waste to energy plants, but we plan to increase their share. Further development we see also in high efficient combined heat and power, which is in fact flexible tool for the stabilization of the electricity grid as a consequence of renewable energy installations into the grid, because we can observe on the market that with the installation of renewable sources, there is a big fluctuation in prices of electricity, and district heating networks can, with combined heat and power, can bring the stabilizing factor to these tendencies, and can very well complement with renewable energy production. Further development, what we can see is the development of renewable gases, which will which will step by step replace natural gas. How quickly this will happen is the question, but only the future will tell how it will work. And last but not least, continuing in energy efficiency of the consumption, but also in distribution of our distribution networks. We have the unique opportunity right now to use substantial EU fundings, mainly from modernization fund, which can be used to realize these investments without impacting the price of heat. So just few words about our company, MHT Teplárenský Holding. MHT Teplárenský Holding is quite a new company, which was created only in May 2022 by the merger of 6 biggest state-owned district heating networks, and is nowadays operating as a single company. The reason for the merger was mainly to make the operation more effective, to centralize some services, and to in final to optimize and reduce the price of heat for final customers. These are just the few figures about the different sites that we operate. Just to have an idea, MHTH supplies nearly 2,400 gigawatt hours of heat and 600 gigawatts of electricity. And the total length of the distribution network is more than 500 kilometers. Coming back to legislation, European Energy Efficiency Directives defines for us the goals, how defines the so-called efficient, or maybe better said, sustainable district heating network, where the share of renewable energy sources or waste heat is defined, and these goals are, these minimum shares are getting stricter and stricter, with the possibility to use also the heat from combined heat and power until 2040, with the combination of waste heat and renewable, but at final end to arrive to 2050, where only renewable heat or waste heat can be used. Member states may also, based on this EU directive, member states may also choose an alternative criteria which defines the amount of greenhouse gas emissions from the district heating and cooling system per unit of heat or cold delivered to customers. So nowadays the threshold is under 200 gram of CO2. So just to have an idea for you, the heat-only production from natural gas with the efficiency of 90% gives a carbon footprint of 220 or 25 gram of CO2. So this goal is not far away, but without renewables, it's not reachable. And the final goal is to have in 2050 zero emissions. Concerning concrete projects that are already realized or or are planned in our operations. So I have it on different sites, because there is no single silver bullet solution to these challenges, but heat is a local topic, and every city has a different context and also the different solution which can be adapted. So For Bratislava, we plan to continue with the CHP production from natural gas, maybe in the future replaced by low carbon gases, and increase the share of the heat from waste to energy plant. Trnava, it's a specific case where we use emission-free heat from a nuclear power plant. So this side is, we are just using less than 5% of natural gas as a backup solution in case of maintenance of the network. Žilina, we are still using coal in this plant, but will be in few months and next year will be replaced by natural gas combined heated power. And we are planning also or considering the use of multi-fuel boiler which can use wood chips, so biomass or RDF, which is the in fact treated waste. For Martin, we have already realized a lot. We have invested into natural gas cogenerations, but we are still using wood. We are also using wood chips in the biomass boiler, and eventually with its reconstruction to fluid boiler using RDF. Zvolen, we have done a lot of work in transformation of the site, which was using still coal. Now it's 100% biomass. We abandoned at that time the electricity production, but we are planning to use it also in the future. And finally, Košice plant, which is our also the biggest of our sites, located in the eastern part of Slovakia, where we are also still using coal, but we invested in gas CHP, and we plan to increase the share of waste to energy from Kosit company. We are still buying some heat from local company, and we have a big project of Geotherm Košice, which I will describe in my next slides. Okay, these are the concrete projects which we are implementing, and this is a graph which represents our strategy, where we will still be using some part where in the first years there is a replacement of coal by mainly natural gas. But in the future, we plan to decrease the share of natural gas by mainly using heat pumps, big industrial heat pumps, and still purchasing heat from external suppliers. Then the second part will be from burning sustainable biomass, which will stay on let's say constant level. The drawback of the using of the heat pumps is the fact that we will, from electricity producer, we will more switch to electricity consumer. But we see the opportunity, especially in the flexibility of the operation, where we have the possibility to switch between CHP production of electricity and using heat pumps in the period where the price of electricity is low, even negative. We could use heat pumps to produce cheap heat. But at the same time, when the peaks of electricity are happening, when renewable electricity is not produced, we can switch back to CHP production and benefit from the highest prices in order to have competitive price of heat. So the goal for 2030, because 2050 is quite far away, is to increase in all our production the share of renewable and waste heat to 40% and reduce the carbon intensity of heat by 60% compared to 2018 levels. So now coming to the project in Košice, just a few words about Košice. These are the main figures about our operation. The site was built in the years of 1960, but it's our biggest plant with the highest production of electricity, because we have there our own production of electricity. The plant in Bratislava is comparable of the size to Košice one, but we are producing much less electricity because we are buying a lot of heat from external producers. And the difference also to Bratislava side is that in Košice we are supplying most of the heat to external distributor, which is a municipal distribution company, which is then supplying the heat to final customers. So coming to the project of geotherm, the positive thing is that the reservoir in the Košice basin is considered as one of the most promising in Central Europe, with the estimated potential of 200 megawatts. But for our project, we see a realistic maximum at the level of 90 megawatt of heat delivered to Košice city. There are 3 geothermal sites owned by the geotherm company, which is SPV company dedicated for the production, for the exploration works and for the underground work. The sites are in Svinica, Ďurkov, Olšovany, and Bidovce. This is a map which is showing the city of Košice with our central heat production in the city. But we have to bring the heat from Ďurkov side to the city of Košice, and this is the work or the pipeline to be built by our company MHTH, which is the distance between the 2 sites is almost 15 kilometers. Geothermal wells are built by this SPV company Geotherm. So we will have a long-term agreement with this company for buying heat from their production. Okay, so for the project at its stage right now, we have all the permissions needed for the construction. So we have a valid EIA. We have also the legal company Geotherm has a legal title to all land for the planned 3 geothermal sites. And we have also managed to have the agreement of all the landowners, which will be where the pipeline will be built. And we have all the building permits relevant and valid. Few figures about the wells. There are actually 3 wells already drilled at the location Ďurkov with approximately depth of 3,200 meters. These wells are 2 reinjection wells and 1 production well. In the first stage of the project, we plan to build 3 other wells of one production well and 2 reinjection wells, and this will be then with the capacity of roughly 30 megawatt, with the potential to increase to 90 megawatts in total. Okay, the goal of the project is delivering clean heat from geothermal wells to district heating of Košice. As I said, 30 megawatt, possible to upgrade to 90 megawatt. It's a strategic project for us to decarbonize the heating in Košice and completely stop the production from coal until 2030. The estimated total cost are roughly for the first phase of the project are roughly 130 million. We have already obtained financing from Just Transition Fund of EU fundings in the level of 56 million, which are then distributed for the network from our side, MHTH, and for geotherm for the drilling of 3 additional wells. This is a small scheme where the reinjection wells and the production wells are displayed. The circuit with geothermal water is closed, so we have then the exchanger which will use the heat close and different water will circulate in the pipeline to bring it to our side in MHTH Košice, and then we will use our network in the city to distribute it further to citizens in the city of Košice. These are project milestones. So the project really started in 2021, although the project is very well known already, was discovered already a long time ago, but this was the period when the real works started. There were some agreements which were at the beginnings signed. We have obtained, as I already specified, funding, and now the public procurement for the contractor already started, and we are hopefully finalizing the project in 2028. These are the few figures with the project output for the 30 megawatt, 60 megawatt, or 90 megawatt alternative. We can see on the 2 last lines that depending on the alternative, the share of renewable heat can increase from 42 to 73%, and out of which 23 to 50% can be directly supplied from geotherm. And this is the demand curve of Košice network. We can see that geothermal project will supply the base load. The green line, COSIT and KES, these are our 2 external suppliers will go next. Then we will use our cogenerations units to provide the heat and the electricity production, and then the heat only production will be gathered to cover the peak, really the peak demand. This is for 30 and 90 megawatt alternative. Okay, so this is shortly, very in brief, the description of the geothermal project. These are the few visualizations already done with the wellheads, with the pumping station, with the cooling station, and exchanger stations. So we are quite far away in the design. And yeah, this is my last slide. So very difficult to predict how the future will look like in 2050. Also, Martin McFly, when he was traveling in the future, he was traveling, in fact, to 2015, so which we already passed, and the imagination of that time didn't fulfill 100%. But so very difficult to say how the 2050 will look like, but I'm sure that district heating networks will play a key role in the supply of heat to citizens, and we have all cards in our hands, and we have to do our best to maintain this technology also for further generations. Okay, that's it, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Very interesting, going from broader overview into specific examples of what you're doing across Slovakia and ending with the geothermal project in Košice. Yeah, I think it's very interesting. Now we will focus or zoom on Western Slovakia at the city of Partizánske. We have Matej Fabšík, who is a project manager for district heating decarbonization at the municipality of Partizánske in Slovakia. Together with the NGO Friends of the Earth, CPA, he leads projects aimed at modernizing and decarbonizing the city-owned district heating system. His work primarily focuses on integrating renewable energy sources and energy efficiency measures into heating systems, ensuring reliability, affordability, and sustainability. So, Matej, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, and I'll try to share my screen. Do you see it?
We see it. If you click on the presenter's mode, it should be perfect. Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So thank you very much for being a part of this webinar, and I will do it, I think, shorter than my colleague from company MHTH. I need to say I was also the part of Žilina power plant a few years ago, and I have, I think, mostly from this factory, I have a lot of experiences because we were one of the first that we had a really big heat storage in Slovakia, because the power plants were not used to storage or to storing the energy. And I know definitely from that company that there are huge advantages of storing long or short-term storing of heat. So we are quite connected with Martin. I need to say, as also Martin mentioned, that systems were very popular in Soviet Union and post-Soviet countries such as Slovakia. And I think there is a really big problem, and I always I'm mentioning this kind of problem in every discussion and webinar, and so that if we want to help the systems in post-Soviet countries, we need to also focus on different types of help for each country, because when in our countries we had like 50 years old district heating systems, in Western countries the countries are only planning to build a new one mostly. So we need to focus to change or to divide support into district heating in that has exist a few years ago. It is demanding reconstructions, huge reconstructions, and also between the countries that are used or they are going to build a new one. So I think it's really important, because a new partnership will be there, and also the new European budget. So there is a huge opportunity, and we need to focus on that, I think. Shortly about the Partizánske, it's a normal city, about 20,000 inhabitants in the middle of Slovakia. The biggest advantage, I think, and also the disadvantage, is that the heat supply is owned by the city. Its advantage because the city has Sorry. The biggest advantage is that you can do with the price, and you can make the price sustainable. And the disadvantage is that also you have a lot of problems with financing and with the people. They are working in the company for maybe 30 years, and that's really a huge problem. How to connect these two things into modern system, because it's so that if somebody is in some company or some heat production for 30 years, he is definitely blind in the way of heat production. So the people, we need to not only we need to reconstruct the system, but we also need to focus on human resources, on HR, and we need to learn the people how to use modern technologies, what is the energy efficiency, and everything from the base. And that's a huge problem. Also, a huge problem for now is that the system is strictly decentralized. That means we have more than 20 boiler rooms in the city. We have smaller district heating systems, and more than half of the rooms or boilers are in the state of disrepair, and it means it's really they can maybe produce a heat for not more than 5 or 10 years. So we don't have so much time, and we need to focus on the reconstruction of this system. Only quarter is in good condition, but we have some kind of solutions. I'm also the part of Friends of Earth NGO that we are supporting the city. I'm not a part of city, but we are supporting the city, and we are preparing the feasibility studies, the plans, how to decarbonize effectively, and how to make a price still sustainable and competitive in the city. This is how it looks like from aerial view. Maybe we have two parts, two biggest areas with the district heating system. The black one with the biomass boiler, and the red one with new for this year with new gas boiler room, and decentralized old gas boilers in the city. So if we are thinking about the way how we can produce heat when it is most advantageous, not when it is needed, we definitely need to interconnect these systems, because we have overcapacity in biomass in one part of the city, and we have more than 5 megawatts in biomass, and nowadays we have less than 25% of production of the heat from biomass. So if we will do the first step, and if we will interconnect the systems, we will, or we can make more than 60 or 70% from biomass. But we have also another advantage, and it's similar to Košice, but not so hot. We have 2 geothermal drills, and one is not so deep. One is 33, and the second one is 23 degrees Celsius. And that means that we definitely need heat pumps to heat the temperature and to utilize it into the system of district heating, because we are planning the 4th generation centralized system, and it means the maximum temperature at about 65-70 degrees Celsius. And I think it's got a good opportunity to have also this kind of geothermal energy. I need to say that we have a lot of activities planned about the geothermal energy, but we are still waiting for ministry, because we are also part of coal region. We are part of Just Transition Fund area, or area, and we are waiting only for results. We have applied for research activities for geothermal energy, and we are now waiting 6 months only for result, and the results were planned somewhere in February. So the really big problem is bureaucracy in Slovakia, and we need to also focus on this. But I don't know actually how exactly. We are planning the geothermal energy also as a base load, so it's logical, I think, and we want to store the heat, as I said before. That we are planning to build some like medium or large capacity heat storage, more than 1,000 cubic meters, and that means we can really cut the peaks during the day, and we can, in the end, we can make more than 50% from geothermal energy that is not more than 2 megawatts, and we can make in the city because of it will be a base load with also heat storage with a huge or with industrial heat pumps. We can make this kind of mixture. We can utilize geothermal energy as a base load. As I said, more than 50%. Then more than 40% will be the green one, will be the biomass energy from 2 biomass boilers we have, but in the same area. But we have the smaller and the bigger boiler that are in quite good state and can be operated more than another maybe 20-25 years. So it's good opportunity to decarbonize and to make a really good mixture. And if you see the small triangles, yellow triangles, that's the natural gas we are counting with, and it's less than 5 or 6, 7%, depends on winter days and on production. And I think this is reachable within 5 to 10 years, because if the geothermal energy will be okay, if the hydrodynamic tests will be okay, we can definitely utilize the geothermal energy and also the waste energy. We have the similar project with Žilina University. It's a research activity in wastewater treatment plant, and we are also planning in the future. We are planning to utilize the waste energy from industrial processes, but mainly from wastewater treatment plant, because we have stable temperature on the outflow of the wastewater treatment plant, and that means it could be also utilized mostly during the winter. And we have quite maybe quite hot water if we will use the heat pumps for wastewater treatment, to utilizing the wastewater into the system. We will during the summer we will use probably the river water, because it's the temperature is more than 5 degrees Celsius hotter than from the wastewater. And what about the financing and when and how much? I think the first phases could be done within the 5 or 10 years, depends on funding, depends on ministry and bureaucracy, and also depending on budget, because still this kind of solution is more than 20 million in total. But we are also we are trying to focus on every opportunity we have. We are now successful in EU City Facility Program. We are successful in target program from European Investment Bank. We have strong communication with partners in European Urban Initiative. So we are also focusing on the direct funds, not only for Slovak regional funds, but we are also focusing for these activities, and we hope that that co-financing will be somewhere around 50%. So I think it will be really, I think the Partizanské has potential, because they have a lot of energy, they have industry, they have geothermal energy, they have oversized biomass boilers, and and they want to build it. And that's the main point, that they really want to do something with the district heating system, and it's really a nice opportunity to show other cities in Slovakia how to do it, and what to avoid, and how to solve the problems that they definitely have or will have. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maciej. Definitely very interesting to see what the city of Partizanska is doing, and hopefully other cities of similar size can take inspiration from, hopefully. Just a logistical announcement. We will for sure run over time than what was foreseen, so I suppose that we will finish at 4:45 in the end, just for the last speaker to have enough time for presentation, and then perhaps 1 or 2 questions from the audience. So last but not least, we have Juraj Melichar from the CEE Bankwatch Network, who will speak on supporting sustainable heating in Slovakia. Since 2016, Juraj has worked with Friends of the Earth, CEPA, with the International CEE Bankwatch Network on the energy transformation, just transition of coal regions, recovery and cohesion finance and support for district heating transformation. He is a co-author of the Life Beyond Coal campaign and cooperates with the Climate Coalition and other stakeholders on social climate solutions. So, Juraj, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting me to this great event. I would like to double check if you can see my presentation.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, maybe I will start with the fun fact that Peter von Rittinger is one of the constructor of the first heat pump, and he studied in Slovakia, in Banská Štiavnica. So I think the sustainable heating is very much connected also to Slovakia, and we would like to see really also to reinvent this tradition. We started working in Friends of the Earth on sustainable heating in around 2018, when it was one of the preconditions for just transition, or basically decommissioning of coal power plant Nováky in the Prievidza just transition region, where is also the town Partizanske situated. And we prepared a comparison of the third and fourth generation district heating, where you can see on the right side that the coal power plant Nováky, which was decommissioned in December 2023, had a certain amount of annual CO2 emissions, and let's say one of the best solutions which we have in Slovakia was to decrease approximate best business as usual solutions led to 73% of emission decrease, and our pre-feasibility study showed that if there would be much more energy efficiency of buildings used, and also modernization of the district heating network, there could be the fourth generation district heating system, which will have 97% less emissions. Nevertheless, Prievidza now has the largest heat pump in Slovakia using underground mine water. It's 4 megawatt and it's heating the town. And also there is a thermosolar system for preheating of the mine water, which, as I heard, is more efficient than they predicted, and they are really more. They are more happy than they used to be when they were planning it in advance. There is still a lot of fossil gas and biomass in the system, and also in the whole country system. So therefore, we will really recommend the second phase, which shows that the modernization of the heating pipelines still has another 11% of energy savings potential, and renovation of buildings in town of Prievidza shows that there could be another energy savings possible, which to sum up, in theory, only 46% of the heat would be needed with a low temperature district heating system compared to the very inefficient coal power plant with the district heating system, which was very big and with, for example, 12 kilometers of heating infrastructure to those cities. So this was our initial work, and then we started focusing more on Partizánske because there was much higher potential and willingness to make the further steps. Our work also concentrates on identifying and improving opportunities in the public financing, mostly EU funds. For example, approximately 15 billion euros are allocated to decarbonization of energy in the period of in this decade by 2030. The Modernization Fund, Program Slovakia, including the Just Transition Fund, Recovery and Resilience Plan has also some measures, for example, passportization of geothermal wells. There is a social climate fund with the possible allocation of 1.6 billion euros, which hopefully will be approved with the ETS2. And with the Czech Technical University in Prague and Center for Transport and Energy in Czechia, we started the Czechoslovak Heating newsletter. So I would like to invite people to subscribe also to that to receive some news. And we are also, our NGO is supporting pilot initiatives, for example, in the Partizánske and other towns and cities where it makes sense. We did with the CE Bengoš network, we did an analysis of modernization fund spending. In Slovakia, the allocation is roughly 4 billion, and more than 1 billion is allocated for combined heat power and distribution and district heating in general. So we hope that those money would be more used for renewable heating and cooling and energy efficiency measures, because our analysis of 32 projects which are financed from the Modernization Fund in Slovakia shows that out of the 116 million euros used for the district heating projects, approximately half is used for fossil gas. So we think that it's unfit for 55 to still support fossil gas infrastructure. And then we have roughly 23% of allocation to biomass projects and almost non-existent investments in other renewable energy sources, which is very worrying, and it shows how underdeveloped the district heating market in Slovakia is, or how it still supports false solutions like fossil gas, unsustainable biomass, and waste incineration. For example, also there is a program Slovakia which supports energy efficiency measures, creating capacities for regions and other areas which are very promising. And for example, here is the program Green to Households with an innovation, Green Solidarity, as Duncan was, for example, recommending to have more focus on low-income households. The Green Solidarity program now aims to innovate the Green to Households program with conditions for lower-income households to have better financing for that. There are also some measures for promoting, prospecting, and surveying geothermal energy sources, and so on. We also, maybe one of the last points I wanted to show is that we try to support municipalities with Partizánske and other, and we produced a 10 points checklist for sustainable heating and cooling plans. So basically the main objective was to show the municipalities or give them a practical tool to find out what they need to take into account when they will be updating their heat management concepts of the their heating and cooling plants, and not only to take into account fossil gas or fossil gas cogeneration, biomass or waste incinerators, but also take into account other sources, basically renewable energy. And we try to concentrate on having ideally climate decarbonization scenarios. That will be great if the towns and cities will have also 0% of fossil fuels in the projected energy, into the trap of fossil gas installations purchased late in this decade, and also the energy efficiency first principle renovation to be taken into account. And we also try to incentivize that they also get assessed what could be the use of heat pumps. We also assume that every city has its own wastewater treatment plant and river, so they can utilize the heat pump heat from that and recover it. And if their conditions, as were mentioned in the previous presentations, will be met, and also to also take into account seasonal and short-term heat storage solutions, possible geothermal sources, because the Hungarian example or Hungarian municipalities could be inspiring for us in terms of usage of geothermal, and other district heating systems from Denmark or even Czech Republic could show how to proceed with district heating transformation. So sometimes I think that we don't need to have ball to look into a future. We can just travel, or we don't need to do excursions to travel in time. We can just take people to Austria or Denmark or Czechia. So and these are the elements which we would like to incentivize and motivate municipalities to think about, just like if there would be energy efficiency improvements, for example, cascade systems in the district heating, which some of the better buildings can allow lower temperature heating, or using the service flexibility options and taking advantage of the low electricity prices, also participatory discussion with the stakeholders involved, and so on. So to sum up, I agree with with the people presenting before, that the fossil gas is very much supported. We have Slovakia spent billions of euros for subsidizing energy, which led to a very bad situation in terms of the electricity to gas ratio, and also energy savings were very low compared to Czech Republic. The national bank in Slovakia calculated that Czechs have decreased the energy consumption of gas by 13%. We only decreased by 1% because there is the across the board subsidy for gas mostly, but also heating in general, and therefore reducing the tax levies and other direct and indirect fossil gas and fossil fuel subsidies is very crucial. And I hope that the nice geothermal projects presented and other potential renewable energy projects and with energy efficiency component will be more promoted and supported. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Juraj. Definitely very interesting, and thank you that you brought up the need for municipalities below 50,000 inhabitants to develop their heating and cooling plans. That's very valid point for sure for many Slovak municipalities, and also very interestingly, the Czechoslovak heating newsletter. I'm definitely going to subscribe to that one. So thanks for bringing that up. We have very little time left, so I would just very quickly open the short Q&A. There was a question in the chat for Martin, whether solar heat is considered as part of new sources for decarbonization of district heating in Slovakia. Is there a chance for this technology in Slovakia?
Yeah, who knows how the future would look like, but for the moment, we didn't analyze such a project. It was in my presentation that I was showing, but I didn't mention it. We were considering to construct PV facilities on our ash dams, which are located near to our plants, but photovoltaic for heat production. It's from my point of view, the demand is not matching too much with the production, so you need somehow to store to have a seasonal storage where this technology exists, but they are quite costly and need co-financing from EU funds for sure.
Mm-hmm. And another question to the knowledge of the speakers in the panel. Is there or are there any projects of seasonal storage of heat in Slovakia?
No, I think in Slovakia we only have a short storage like in Žilina, not more than I think there is no the biggest one is in Žilina and it is 3040. So it's not definitely it's not a seasonal one. It's daily storage, let's say, and it's enough for the peak during the morning.
Yeah,
in the city.
I can confirm we are installing these short-term storages in mainly our facilities. The advantage is to shave the peaks of the heat demand, but also to switch the electricity production to the periods where the electricity is much higher than in the period where the renewables are producing. So this is a big advantage which is coming with the changes on the market, and there we see a huge potential of synergies because you can store also heat in the network, not only in the storage, but also in the large district heating networks, and this is a shift which brings a lot of sense, makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that answers. I see there are some exchanges in the chat. That's great. Being conscious of the time and that I said that we would finish in a couple of minutes, perhaps I can pose a single question and each speaker could give a brief answer to that one. So, question to the panelists: do you think it's realistic to achieve 100% renewable heat in Slovakia by 2050? Considering the different quick wins that the Slovak companies and government can utilize. Well, considering the different challenges that municipalities face, maybe taking inspiration from countries which have similar environment and face similar challenges like Slovakia. Perhaps we could start from the final speaker. So maybe Juraj can go first.
Yeah, I hope that there will be some studies and there will be some answer to this question, at least partial in strategic documents like update of the low carbon strategy of Slovak Republic, and also the National Energy and Climate Plan should take into consideration the recommendations from International Energy Agency and other actors, European Commission and so on, to increase, for example, the share. Like the Slovakia is not very ambitious in terms of the renewable energy share in its current updated NECP is only 25% as a contribution to the 42.5%. demand, and in the first update, the heat pump target was very low. The lowest in the whole EU, because probably it wasn't updated. It wasn't possible to distinguish which version of the NECP is from 2018 and which is from the 2023. So it was a shame that Slovakia as a country which could build on the historical tradition of the heat pumps invention of the people studying here, and also we are part of the heat pumps production valley with Czechia and Poland, and I'm afraid that we will miss the train of attracting more heat pumps investments for production here. And I would be afraid if there will be a very big push on renewable heat from biomass. So I hope that the trajectory towards 100% renewable heat by 2050 will really get into account the energy efficiency in buildings, modernization of district heating networks, geothermal energy usage, heat pumps, waste heat, and these sources which have lower environmental impacts than biomass, waste incineration, and natural fossil gas. Thanks.
Thank you for that. Maciej?
I hope, but definitely not. It's a short answer, but we have. I couldn't imagine it is possible with our government, our level of populism and level of conspiracy and everything. I think it's not possible, really.
All right, so a little bit.
Sorry for pessimism, but I think not.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, your view, and I think it's a valid one. So many people will agree with you. Martin?
Okay, I will be a bit more optimistic in the fact that I think we have to do a lot of promotion and speak about the project which we are doing, and really show up, because also in Western countries it's about concrete projects and about the promotion of such projects. Whether it will be 100% carbon free, this I'm not sure, because nowadays we have other challenges which are jumping out, like competitiveness of the market and in general security. And I'm not sure, and I hope that we will not jump back to the past and be part of the Soviet era. So this is the topic which is jumping very, very important, and I think we will do our best to make it happen, but it will mostly depend on the technologies and how the technologies will evolve, because we have a lot of technologies, but which are not mature, which can be used, but on a limited level. And to cover 100%, it's very, very difficult. You can cover the base load. It's very often very these projects are very costly, and you have to take into account the price of heat for the final customers. So at final end, somebody has to pay, whether it is European Union or so the customers in Europe or the customers in Slovakia. We will see what will be the future, but I am optimistic and hope that the share of renewables will increase. But this is a long-term view, which is very good. If it will happen, we will see.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that, Duncan. I know you're not a Slovak national, but maybe you have a view on overview from different countries as well on heat pumps market. So.
Sure. Yeah, I really like the answer so far. I think that I understand Matej's inclination to be a bit pessimistic, and I would say that even in countries where the political system might be more in favor of decarbonizing heating, it's still a big challenge. We're still running into a lot of the same problems that Slovakia is seeing, and many things need to go right for this to work. But also 25 years is a long time. And I think if you start making some good changes now in the political framework and some good investments and like Martin was saying, get good projects demonstrated and educate the public on the importance of all this, then things can happen pretty quickly, I think. We've seen that in the electricity sector in many countries, how quickly it's been decarbonized. Heat is a different challenge entirely, but I think that there are things we can unlock here. I would also say, I like you, Andre, but I don't like the question so much, because I think it's nice to have an ambitious goal, but the expression, let's not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And sometimes we say 100%, it's held up as this impossible milestone, but we get to 80% in 25 years, it's really good. 90%, anything. I think it's important to be ambitious, but also we need to say any progress is right, and any less cubic meter of natural gas that we use means more. It means better. It's better for climate change and pollution, but it's also really much better for energy security, which we hear, is a really big problem of today. So yeah, I'll just close with that, and thanks again for the invitation.
Oh, wow, that's a strong message. Very nice. Thanks, Duncan, for that. Martina, last but not least. You're muted, I think, or the microphone needs to be switched. No. It's not working. Weirdly, because it was working earlier. All right. We will, in that case, I'm sorry, Martina, we will stay with Duncan's final message. But I really hope that we can continue the discussion in the future. And I thank you very much to all the speakers and presenters that you made time to present what you're working on and showcasing what Slovakia is doing in the transition to renewable heating and cooling. I hope that it can help a bit in not educating, but by disseminating what's happening at the national level, such a relatively small country such as Slovakia at EU level. So as I mentioned, the presentations and the webinar will be shared with participants and wider audience after the event. So even though the participation was not as strong as I was hoping to, I still believe that this webinar can serve as a good source of information for the future. So once again, thank you very much to all the speakers and also participants, and wishing you good luck in your projects and work. And I hope that we can meet and speak again in the future. So goodbye. Thanks a lot.